Hey folks, this is Bailey from Dankless Wargaming,
Hey, this is Heath with Team Table War Hawaii.
and welcome to The Path to Redemption, the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast. We aim to help Dark Angels players by providing them with the tactical and hobby advice that they need in order to enjoy this wonderful hobby of ours. This week or this month, we're gonna take a look at some of the new Nachmund releases that have just dropped yesterday, actually, I believe. And then we're going to take a look at some of the
Yep.
final events leading up to and including LVO, because LVO is still technically going on right now, but there are no more Dark Angels players, spoilers, in the event. So we're going to talk about some of the people that did all right at that, as long as the lead up into that. Heath's got his hands on the new GT book with all the points. So we're going to crack into that a little bit. We're going to bring back a monthly challenge. And then finally, for all of you listening at home or watching on YouTube, we have the fan giveaway. We are going to do that. It's going to happen. We're not going to push it off. So that's what we got going on this month's episode. The January, officially over a year of doing this.
Yeah, well, time has no meaning in the pandemic, so but yeah, it's
like
been a year.
the
It's kind of
pandemic.
crazy. That's kind of it's kind of crazy. So yeah, I've had to cut my beard. I've had to cut my beard at least twice. So I guess that's some way to mark time.
To the
Yeah.
new Imperium's coming to America. Heath, did you hear about this? You can for 80 issues of Imperium's, 4 issues a month. The subscription, the standard one's $55, $67.80 a month to get the premium.
So Imperium, this is the thing where you get a magazine and it comes with a miniature, right?
Yes.
I think I saw this, like they initially launched this in Great Britain
Yes.
several years ago. And yeah, what do we have any data on what miniatures are actually coming with it?
There's a picture of it a while back in the show notes. But you literally, by the end of the magazine, you have of terrain and 2 complete, like, 2,000 runs in Space Marines.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they're
okay.
not messing around.
Sure.
So yeah, and it's got
right.
everything from walkers and the bikes. There's a special Space Marine captain that comes in it. This is the only way you can get to buy the subscription to this. It takes some digging to find, I believe. Run in England came out a while back, and they've been releasing these. So if you're in it for the long run, and you can do this, and like there's like a 40% discount. Do the whole with all the product. It's a
that's
if you end up with
GW doesn't do sales. They do added value. That's kind of the model they do with their faction boxes. So
yep.
So this is $67.80 a month or $55.80 a month? Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, like if you've got a buddy that you're trying to like get into the hobby with, this might not be a bad way to do it. Because clearly it's targeted at 2 separate factions. So okay, we're here. I don't know if I see this being something that an already established player is going to want to do, because it is kind of expensive. You look at that, that's a lot of money. That's going to be $600 plus to $700 a year for a couple years. That's a lot of money for a lot of people. So
and
all right, but I mean,
tapes, dice, and you paint too, it looks like.
Okay. Yeah. I mean that's good if you're going to paint your models the way they tell you to paint them. So
yeah,
like I said, there's a market for it. It's probably a narrow one, but okay. I mean, sure. Like value's value. I don't think I'm going to get it.
No,
but if anyone does, feel free to let us know. And yeah, trust me, I got plenty of Marines. I got too many Marines. I'm to the point where I'm starting to look at outsourcing some of the painting because I'm so backed up. But I just have a hard time spending money on something that I can do. Whatever.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Well, speaking of Marines,
right.
do you new Captain Gravis armor that's coming out with Nachmund, where he's got
I don't
dynamic pose.
have it. It is a nice pose. It is a nice looking model. I don't have it. I saw the data sheet. I was intrigued because he has a special rule where he comes with either I think a power sword, a power fist, or a chain sword. And if has the chain sword, it's called gravis fighting style. So if he's using the chain sword, he gets basically +2 additional attacks with it, up to a maximum of 3. So basically, the 1 additional attack for the chain sword stacks with that, and your shock assault stacks with that. So he can put out a lot. And of course, my first thought is, well, clearly this guy's going to get the Teeth of Terror, right? But then it says specifically in the data sheet that you lose the benefits of that rule if he's equipped with any relic weapons. So you can't even mastercraft it.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but I mean that would get a little. I could see that would get a little out of hand, but yeah, I mean he's a cool model. Maybe I'll get it. Maybe I won't. I got plenty of stuff on my plate right now. I don't know if I see a real benefit to have him for us. I mean, obviously, yeah, you can make him Deathwing and give him a permanent transhuman, but that is, I don't know. The other Gravis Captain comes with a Mastercrafted Power Sword, and that seems like a really good buy. I don't know. What do you think?
I just can't I find it very hard with generic Space Marine characters or captains when you're giving up Ezreal or you're giving up his bucket Samael.
Yeah.
Or
looking
at all the mortal wound spam that's out there on Lazarus to run one of these guys, and I've got my crutch.
Yeah. Your named characters are so good that running a non-named character is potentially drop. I mean, when we go look at the tournament lists, we'll see what the high end of the play is doing, and they're not running that. But that's so meta specific that, yeah, I don't know. It's a cool looking model. That is absolutely sure. So if you think he's cool, he's got a dynamic pose, you want to do some conversion, man, jump into it. Like, send me a picture. I'm always about supporting the hobby. But I don't think it's for me right now. I prefer like, I don't know. I like the mobility. I don't know if like a Gravis Captain saying he only has a 5-inch move. He can't get an impulsor. Taking a repulsor is a big ask with Tau railguns running around out there. So anyway, yeah. The Ancient is a slightly different model. The rules aren't different unless I miss something.
I don't.
So.
No. Yeah. So you're not him.
There's some really cool stuff you can do with Ancients and Crusade, but you got to get your Crusade forces up to the legendary level to take the Dark Angel standards, which is nice.
Banner.
Like they really, the standard of Fortitude, the standard of Devastation, which is cool that they brought those back in Crusade because those are actually things you could do in 3rd edition. Like my very first tournament I ever played in was based around the standard of Fortitude. So anyway, whatever.
Did you see the Joy Toy and Victor Warsuit 150? But I know you could paint it green if you wanted to.
I'm sure someone out there is going to repaint it, and once again, I fully support that. So the Joy Toy models are really cool. I've looked at a lot of them, and they look good. For a company I've never heard of, I thought that it was going to be McFarlane was going to be the way to do it, but that's not the case. Like these Joy Toy models are nice. They are nice. So.
Yeah. And then speaking of Crusade, Wars of Faith mission pack coming out for Crusade, $40 to go along with Nachmund. Then you have Warzone, Nachmund, Vigilus Alone supplement where the Vanguard Spearhead Army of Renown's in there. So I know we've talked about playing all Phobos armies in the past, and now there's an Army of Renown coming out that I'm assuming is you run all the Phobos things, and we'll just have to wait for some more new rules leaks on that.
Is that faction locked, do you think? Or can it be just any Space Marine can do a? Okay, yeah, maybe there's something there. We'll take a look. I'm curious. Yeah, I've expressed interest in the in the Dark Angels like Firewing tech before, but I haven't been able to make it work. And I haven't been able like there was a gentleman we talked about a couple months ago that had a Green Wing like Phobos list that was pure damage output. And I've been trying to find him to see if he'd like to come on and talk about it, but haven't been able to. So, hey, more on that later. I'll keep trying.
All right, so moving on from new releases, meta. In Meta Watch, we had the Challenger Major, and there was a fifth place Dark Angels list. Greg Zagor, Helix.
I think it's Gregor because this is Poland,
Gregor?
but I'm going to go with
Gregor?
that
Makes
because
sense.
yeah, please, no malign intent. We are
No.
stupid Americans, so.
And I'm British American, so I butcher names even worse.
That's fair.
That's part of the heritage. Is that you get like a pass to pronounce it and catchy instead of it's wonderful. You don't have to
I'm so
speak proper
disappointed in you
English.
right now. Yeah.
So he ran a pure list and above and beyond the Call of Duty for the Brotherhood to acquire for the Inner Circle this list. So what do we?
So I heard about this list on Frontlines the Thursday show. Really intrigued it. I immediately texted Bailey and said, "Hey, check this out. I'm into it." But I can't find it on BCP. So I went back and listened, and here's what I got. So it's a double Outrider. So the first Outrider is Samael and a Talon Master, and then there's a unit of 3 Landspeeder Typhoons, a unit of 3 regular Landspeeders, and 2 Dark Talons. Right, and then there's a second Outrider with another Talon Master, 3 Tornado Pattern Landspeeders. Those are normally the ones with the Heavy Bolter and the Multi-Melta, or a Heavy Bolter and Assault Cannon. So I think the Multi-Melta replaces the Heavy Bolter. And then there's 2 Landspeeder Vengeances. So those are the big double Plasma Storm battery, strength 8 base, 2 damage base, overcharges to strength 9, damage 3, 2d3 shots. Yeah. So that's it. It is, I'm counting 3, 6, 9 Landspeeders, 2 Landspeeder Vengeances, and then 2 Talon Masters, and then Samael, and then a pair of aircraft. So this is going to score Death on the Wind. And it's just so much mobility. I would also wager that you're going to take either engage on all fronts or behind enemy lines, right? Because engage on all fronts, your aircraft can score that. Behind enemy lines, they cannot. But the question is, what's the third secondary you take with this?
Well, with the new book, you could teleport homers with Sammy if you really wanted to.
You could do them in the previous book as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there are no other actionable units. Sammy in this.
Yeah,
list.
He's a bike, so he can do. So yeah, we'll talk more about the new rules for this, but this was 2 weeks ago, so the old GT 2021 book was in play. I think like Shadow Ops probably teleport homers is the way that would have been the way he would have done this. Maybe. Let me see. You grab that real quick.
The other thing that I could see potentially here is another one of those Codex Warfare plays, because you kind of have a mix of weapons.
Yeah, okay. Codex Warfare. Potentially Martial Interdiction, because if Samael is so mobile and so killy in combat, he actually has a chance to do Martial Interdiction.
Yeah, and he can run away because he's a bike. He's Ravenwing bike, so he can, dunk on somebody and then run away, and then you just keep him away the game and you win. And all right, we were looking up which on the Wind, right? So what is Death on the Wind, Heath?
Death on the Wind is a no mercy, no respite, so that's not going to stack with no prisoners. But you could do Purge the Enemy, so Assassinate or Bring It Down or Titan Hunter. I feel like this might have been a meta play if there's a bunch of vehicles or a bunch of Titans in this meta that running around with, 9 multi-meltas and a bunch of plasma and 2 Talon Masters and Samael. It's just so mobile, and it's got so much potential for damage output. You're going to score a lot of points with Death on the Wind. You're going to score a lot of points with some of the battlefield supremacy things. It's a cool list. I have personally been gearing up to play something like this. The downside is there's no obsec unless you take Rites of War, and we don't have any. I didn't get any data on what the relics or the warlord traits are. I would be willing to wager, however, that you're going to see the usual kind of tooled up Talon Master with Arbiter's Gaze, probably Brilliant Strategist to keep himself in the correct doctrine, or one of the other things in the correct doctrine, and possibly maybe give Samael his Master of Maneuver so we can fall back and charge. But there is a lot of options, and it's a pretty edgy meta like counter meta list, which is always exciting.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know how well it would work in. You just got to know your local meta. Like if there's Tau players out there with a bunch of hammerheads, this might be a rough time because you're relying on that 4-up invul to keep all these things alive. So, yeah. Any other thoughts about this?
Well, and the other thing that would be harsh too is that there are lighter vehicles, and you're probably trying to hope that you can hide everything. And if you're playing Tau and the Tau player goes, let me spam a bazillion smart missile systems, because those got buffed from what I've heard from my Tau friends.
Yeah, they're like a native -1 now.
Hide, we're just going to blow all your stuff up. And
well, you think about it. So smart missiles are strength 5, right? Nothing in this list is less than strength 6.
Okay.
Correction, less than toughness 6. And honestly, like 9 land speeder hulls, sure, one of them gets aced by a railgun. There's 2 more in the squad.
Yep.
And if you're advancing these things, run them around all the time, you can use the Space Marine strategy to make a -1 to hit. So there is counterplay to that, and because this army, like everything's fly, so you basically just do not care about terrain. You can play line of sight games pretty effectively. If you end up against, like I said, the Tau matchup, those aircraft are done. But sure, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the XPZ Last Chancer GT. Joel Wilson got 3rd with Dark Angels. He's got the heavy-duty Deathwing bombs, some tooled-up guys, and some characters as well. So what do we got with? Do you have this list, Heath?
I've got it pulled up on the BCP. Nice. This is kind of what we've seen the Dark Angels coalescing to. It's a lot of Terminators. So I've got 1 Deathwing Vanguard detachment with 1,998 points in it, 2 extra relics, and a mark for command. So the HQ, I have a Talon Master, who is not the Warlord, but he does have Arbiter's Gaze and Rites of War.
Okay.
And then I've got an Interrogator Chaplain with a jump pack. His Warlord trait is Fury of the Lion, which is the +1 strength, +1 strength aura when the Warlord is charged or heroically intervenes. He's also got the Mantra of Strength and the Canticle of Hate. So, and then he's got the Teeth of Terra.
Oh yeah, he's a super boy.
You see where we're going here, right? So, and he's also the Imperium Sword. So it's the tooled up, just Padre Pain. Yeah, Paragon of the Chapter. So, Master Sanctity, Imperium Sword. Wait a second. No, not Master of Sanctity. So he's not a Master of Sanctity. Because you can't do, if you do Paragon Chapter, one of the Warlord traits has to be a Dark Angel specific one. So Warlord trait would be Imperium Sword, +1 Strength, +1 attack on the charge, reroll charges. And then Fury of the Lion is the second Warlord trait. So this guy, Teeth of Terra gives you +1 Strength and like +3 attacks. So he's going to be Strength 7 on the charge, +1 for the Teeth of Terra, +1 for Fury of the Lion, +1 for Imperium Sword, with something like 8 or 9 attacks.
Yeah, he has a lot of those.
Oh yeah, and the Mantra of Strength. Remember, I think that's another +1. +1.
+1 attack, +2 strength, I think.
I don't think it's +2 strength. I think it's +1 strength. Anyway, it's gross. So he's a
bazillion attacks around strength 8 then.
Yeah, and Canticle of Hate is the reroll. No, it's litanies of hate. That's the one that they all get, right? So if he wants to litany, so he can only do one litany because he's not a master of sanctity.
Correct.
So he's gonna have to pick and choose, right? And you can give yourself rerolls with litany of hate because that does apply to characters. But the Canticle of Hate is the one that gives the additional movement. So it's the plus 2 to charge, right? And the plus 3 to consolidate and pile in.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, we see the utility of this. The Talon Master, which we discussed. So I've got a 450 point unit of Deathwing Terminators. The Sergeant has a Master Crafted Thunderhammer.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, and a Storm Shield. And then there's 3 other Thunderhammer Storm Shields, 4 Storm Bolters and Chain Fists, 2 Cyclones with Storm Bolters and Chain Fists.
Okay.
So missiles, right? That's your ranged unit.
So he's dropping in and doing the strat to give himself +1 to wound when he shoots. So those
you could do that,
extra
yeah.
Nasty.
You could do that, right? And then you can use the Fury of the First to give yourself +1 to hit to counteract the fact that you deep struck, right? So then
it's almost a +2, right? Because doesn't he then get to apply the chapter tactic on top of that?
No, because the chapter tactic only applies if you didn't move. And when you deep strike in, you're got FAQ'd. You're not allowed to use the stratagem that makes infantry count as not moving. You can't make them not count as being stationary. But you can Fury the First to get yourself back to 3 up. So
yeah. Right. That's just a flat +1.
Yeah, it's just a straight up +1 to hit. Right. Then I've got another Deathwing Terminator squad with the exact same loadout, except obviously no Mastercrafted Thunderhammer. And then I've got another Deathwing Terminator squad with the exact same loadout. So 30 Terminators with 2 Cyclones each and 4 Thunderhammer Storm Shields and a Storm Bolter. So yeah, I think you're probably gonna combat. You could probably combat squad this, so that you combat squad. You know, your Thunderhammer Storm Shield guys and your Sergeant and maybe one of the Storm Bolters and Chain Fists. Go into the go together as an assault unit, and then the rest of the Storm Bolters and the Cyclones sit in the back on an objective possibly. So all right, we've also got a Terminator assault squad. So not a Deathwing Terminator assault squad. They still have the Deathwing keyword because they get it, but they get the. So this one they're going to have. Looks like it's a 6-man unit with 5 Thunderhammer Storm Shields. Correction. No, the way this is kind of worded out is weird. It says 3 times Assault Terminators with 4 times Storm Shield and Thunderhammer. I have to factor the points out and see how many he's actually got in this unit, but it looks like it's probably 5 based on the number of points. So it looks like, Terminator Assault Squad with 5 Thunderhammer Storm Shields, or 3 Thunderhammer Storm Shields and 2 Twin Lightning Claws. And then interesting that, like, normally I would expect if you're taking a Terminator, a non-Deathwing Assault Squad, it's so you can take the Teleport Homer, but I don't see it on here. So,
interesting.
And then he's got a Ravenwing Apothecary. With decisive tactician, so +1 to charge, and Reliquary of the Repenitent. And he's got the Astartes grenade launcher for stasis shenanigans.
Nice. Oh, and I also want to point out here my previous comment about like introducing this. That was from Goonhammer because that's where I pull a lot of my information on this. So those were not my words; those are Goonhammer's terms. Cite your sources.
Cite your sources. Yeah. Do credit for the good work they do.
It's excellent work.
So it looks like we got 35, maybe 36 Terminators, and then a Apothecary, a Talon Master, and a really mad Chaplain with a jump pack.
He's so much fun.
So
much fun to play with.
All right, so so this is it's the list that we're used to seeing. You can sit in the back and hold objectives. You can hold the middle of the board. You can keep guys alive, and the Chaplain just makes everything a little more dangerous. So you can get yourself up to strength 5 on the charge with all those lightning claws. So against a lot of things, you're rerolling 3s to wound instead of rerolling 4s to wound. It also makes it so you're rerolling 5s to wound instead of instead of rerolling 6s against toughness 8. I like how he's thrown chain fists in here.
Yep, for that bonus damage.
Yeah, actually, not a whole lot of lightning claws. The only lightning claws are in the assault squad. So yeah, it's mostly chain fists. So yeah.
All right. So what about Charlie Andre at LVO? So I think I've been watching him all weekend. I think he ended up 14th before they did the cut to a final 8.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. He ended up 14th. So he was in the running for it. I'm having a hard time kind of understanding exactly what happened. It looks like, based on just what it says here, is he probably it looks like he won his shadow round game because he's got 6 scores. One of which is a loss. But it looks like it says he scored 100 in the shadow round game, or his last score was 100. So I don't know how he didn't get up higher.
I think there were 6 rounds leading into it.
Oh yeah, you're right. So maybe they just don't have the shadow round game scored. Maybe they probably don't have the shadow round scored in here. That was a 6-rounder. It was 3 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, a shadow round on Saturday. So he probably didn't make it to the shadow round, which sucks. I would have liked to have known what knocked him out, but yeah, I mean, it's so his record throughout the tournament was first game 100 points, second game 96, third game 95, fourth game 73, and that was against he says the fourth game that was against Junior Fleahy, who's a really high-end player with Team Zero Comp out in California, playing Drukari, right? So the whole Cult of Strife looks like looks like a thick city kind of list. Talos, Grotesques, Homunculus, Cabalites. Yeah, so it's kind of that archetype.
Yep.
Which is that list is actually really good into Dark Angels because they just put out so many like mid-strength, high damage attacks that your transhuman doesn't really work super effectively. But okay. Yeah, we're here. All right. Well, yeah. Let's take a look at his list. All right. Surprise, surprise. It's more Terminators. So I've got a Deathwing Vanguard. Got a Deathwing Vanguard, and looks like I've got a Deathwing Ancient with a Pen and Remembrance. Right, -1 damage shenanigans. He's got a Chainfist and Stormbolter. I've also got a Deathwing Champion, which I haven't seen in a while, who's the chapter champion with Martial Exemplar.
Yo.
Right. And a master-crafted weapon. So he's probably master-crafted that Deathwing Spear. So that's actually pretty scary.
Caliban.
Ooh. Yeah, that's actually pretty scary.
Isn't that a relic already?
It's not a relic. I don't think because it doesn't have the master-crafted trait. So...
Interesting.
Yeah, let's take I'm just going to look at that real quick because I haven't seen this guy in a minute.
But all those things stacking together are super... He just is super silly with all the things he can do.
All right, so the Halberd Caliban is +3 strength, -3 AP, 2 flat damage, so mastercrafting it becomes damage 3. If it's within an engagement range of 10 or more models, he can make 3 additional attacks. That targets the 10 or more model unit. And he can heroically intervene 6 inches. And he can, obviously, because he's a champion, he can heroically intervene towards characters instead of the nearest enemy unit. And if he fights first, if there's a character within range of him. Okay. That's not bad. And when he's in the assault phase, he's going to reroll wounds against characters, vehicles, or monsters.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. Hey, look at this. There's another interrogator chaplain with a jump pack.
He's pretty boss.
So he's got the exhortation. He's got the exhortation of rage. That's the one you can give somebody +1 to wound. He's got decisive tactician, so +1 to charge. Canticle of hate, so movement shenanigans in the fight phase. He's a master of sanctity, and he is a wise orator.
So he has the bonus to casting his prayers and things.
So the bonus to casting his prayers. So he casts prayers on 2 up. And Decisive Tactician. So no, one thing I noticed about this was there is no Teeth of Terra here.
Okay.
So,
Is the mace there?
well, yeah, you can't not get the Crozius, but
Well,
he's a
the
yeah.
anti-chaos one.
No, it's not. The relic he does have is the Armor Indominus.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so the Armor Indominus gives you the 2-up save and a once per game 3-up invul, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting choice. Okay. So, moving on to the elites, he's got a Deathwing command squad. So 2 Terminators, one's got a Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, one's got Twin Lightning Claws. And then I've got
Pretty standard.
pretty straightforward. I've got 10 Deathwing Terminators. 8 of them have Twin Lightning Claws, 2 of them have Thunderhammers. Then I've got 10 more Deathwing Terminators. 5 of them have Lightning Claws, 5 of them have Thunderhammer Storm Shield, and they have a Watcher in the Dark. And then I've got that same unit again, except without the Watcher.
Okay.
Okay, and then I've got 10 Relic Deathwing Terminators, all with Combi Bolters and Lightning Claws, which I personally love this unit because it's super cheap. It's super cheap, and it's just really good at mulching up hordes. Basically, anything that's not... it struggles a little bit into vehicles, but you put out enough attacks, and you reroll wounds with those Lightning Claws, you can get a lot of work done. Right, and then Ravenwing Apothecary, Chief Apothecary, Reliquary of the Repenitent, Selfless Healer, Astartes Grenade Launcher for Stasis Shell Shenanigans. So this went to number 14 at LVO, right? So out of over 800 players that started the tournament, and he only lost in the Shadow Round. So, hey man, yeah. That being said, this archetype is probably gonna change a little bit in the beginning of the 2022 season because of the way that the Warzone Nachmund stuff happens, right?
Yeah, because that 2-man, I wouldn't be surprised if that 2-man command squad goes to 3-man and it's 2 Lightning Claws and a Storm Shield, Thunderhammer.
Why do you think that?
Cheap. Because the way that Engage in All Fronts is now you have to have 3 units to score, or 3 models in a unit to score it. You just add the cheapest guy you can to that squad, and now you have a 3-man command squad.
So I don't think this army was taken Engage on all fronts, or would, because this army is clearly designed around Stubborn Defiance, right? Just OBSEC, just big thick booty OBSEC, and Engage would compete with that. But that being said, one of the things that is happening in Warzone Nachmund in the new GTs is you can only take 1 faction secondary. The other 2 have to come from this book. So the question then is, do you take Oath of the Moment or do you take Stubborn Defiance?
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's going to... I think that's where the change, right? So yeah, maybe... Hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
I would only really take Oath of the Moment if I had a mission that had an objective in the center of the board.
Right.
But I didn't play pure Deathwing. I played like a mix. So I want the objective I sit on to be I want to be able to control an objective and sit in the middle of the board. And so, yeah, maybe you're having a 3-man to help you with Engage, but you're not going to get into the rest of the table quarters with this army. Engage just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
But and you can't take Nachmund data with 2 guys because it's not going to go off with the way that Retrieve Nachmund data works. Since we talked about in this last month. So yeah, I think that the way these armies, the standard Deathwing, is going to change just isn't going to work because you're not going to be able to take Oath and Stubborn.
Yeah.
But
and something's going to happen to that command squad because having a 2-man command squad does not help you do things the way it used to. They can't retrieve the data, the Octarius data, because
they're not going to be able to do
the extra bit.
Well, they're not going to do teleport homers either because teleport homers don't resolve into your next command phase unless the actioning unit is a troop.
Yeah.
So unless they're there to you're using them to screen characters with their super lookout, sir, or screen your Talon Masters, it's I don't know. I'm gonna do my best to see if I can get Charlie on. I would love to talk to him about this list. I did notice that this is different than the last one we talked about, where I don't think he had the apothecary. The last time we talked about Charlie's list is he was using a interrogator chaplain and Terminator armor vice a jump chaplain. So I'm curious to see what made him make that change. But anyway, so
which then makes it interesting that he did take then the armor Indomitus because he likes having that 2-up save on the chaplain then.
Yeah, well, also the 3-up save. So
yeah.
I've looked at using the armor Indomitus on like Ravenwing champions before because having that clutch 3-up save where you can just jump there and say, all right, man, I got permanent transhuman, 2-up armor, 3-up invul. It can get you out of a lot of problems.
Yep.
So
I could see that. Well, speaking about the new Nachmund, the Nachmund data, what Nachmund data do you have for us here, Heath? What part of this new GT book do we want to get our lightning claws into first?
All right, so I think the big thing to talk about is just like we alluded to, there are some changes in the muster army rules. So first things first, all of the units in a detachment in a player's army must have at least one faction keyword in common, and that faction keyword cannot be Chaos, Imperium, Eldari, Inari, or Tyranids. Okay, nothing to see there. Well, additionally, all the units in a player's army that have selectable faction keywords, that is basically sub-factions, keywords presented in angular brackets on a data sheet, must have all the same selectable keywords. So that means you can't mix chapters. Okay. You can't mix cults. You can't mix stuff like that. Right?
Yeah, that hurts the that'll hurt GSC players pretty hard.
Yeah. Well, it also hurts. What it really hoses is sisters. If you remember back to our conversation with Vince, the sisters have like their factions lean super heavy into either shooting or durability, and so taking 30 sacrosanths that were bloody rose, and then all your multi-meltas and heavy bolters in the back that were God, I don't remember the name of their shooting one. This is going to really put a hurt on them.
Okay.
So the I'm trying to figure out how this doesn't just like completely shoot Drakari in the foot, because Drakari are built around the concept of multiple sub-factions working together. So
would it be the fact that they are separate entities, and the fact that like this is a cult, this is a cabal, and this is a coven?
That's it. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's not a faction keyword, like it's a cult keyword, a cabal keyword, and a coven keyword. So those three things don't test against each other. That's a good point. Well spotted. The exception here is that Mark of Chaos can be different, so you can have multiple Chaos gods, and allegiance. Nice. I don't know what the allegiance keyword is for. What faction is that?
It could still be Chaos.
Could be. I'm not a chaos. Like, I have a Chaos army. But I'm not a Chaos player. I'm not a Chaos player. So, okay. That's a big change. That's going to have a big impact on the meta, because you're not going to be able to just like kind of really tune up and select the most powerful sub-factions and work them together. I guess they thought that the stratagem penalty or the CP penalty for mixing for multiple attachments was not significant enough. So you really got to play a single sub-faction. That's interesting. That's
a big change, especially when you consider where we started with 8th edition with a lot of this, and you had the Smash Bros lists and
just
the big mixing of the Imperium Smash Bros list with Gilliman and Celestine.
Oh, I saw some like even towards the end of 8th edition, there was some dumb stuff. Like one of our local top players was running around with one of his detachments in his Space Marines list was in a Astartes Supreme Command attachment. So it was based on the Adeptus Astartes list. So it had Gilliman, and then it had like 5 different ciphers from 5. It had Ezekiel. It had whatever the name.
Probably.
It had Ezekiel, Tigurius, a great couple of Grey Knight casters, and the whatever
Man.
the Space Wolf named one. Njal
Oh,
Njal
I know who you're talking
Stormcaller.
about. The
So
Stormcaller.
it's
Yeah,
it's just like what the like. Hey, okay, but that's 8th edition. That's behind
yeah.
us.
It's got.
All right. So
Must
those
look forward to the Nachmund.
big changes there. One of my friends asked me, "Hey, does that mean you can't take Ravenwing, Deathwing in the same list?" I was like, "No, because Ravenwing and Deathwing are not sub-faction keywords, right? They're not. They are keywords for lack of a better option.
Yeah.
They're not faction keywords. So that's why that does not apply. So you mix and match to your heart's content, young Dark Angels officers. Okay, so secondary objectives. As I said before, you must choose at least 2 of your secondary objectives from the ones found in this book, right? The Nachmund, Warzone Nachmund GT. You can only take 1 faction keyword, right? So I feel attacked because this is targeted directly at Dark Angels. So you don't take Stubborn Defiance and Oaths of Moment at the same time. Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
Got it.
That's been like people's biggest complaint about Space Marines for months, and it's like, all right, you can't do it anymore.
You've got access to all more. You got access to more sub faction key or faction secondaries than we do. Got it. I can't even be upset about that. That makes sense. So that being said, we talked about a lot of the changes on our last episode. We had some previews, but I just kind of want to run through a couple of these. They did add faction secondaries to this for factions that don't have 9th edition books yet. Specifically, Tyranids, Chaos Knights, Chaos Demons, Chaos Space Marines, and Astra Militarum.
Yep.
So notably, Tau are not in here, and Eldar are not in here. I wonder why that is. The Tau's book is on pre-order as of yesterday, because we're recording this on the final day of LVO. And I would be surprised if
Eldritch Omens pre-orders next weekend. They did the Sunday preview a couple hours ago, and Eldritch Omens, the new Eldar Chaos double box, goes on pre-order next weekend. So that means the Craftworld Eldar book's coming.
Yeah,
because they've been doing the path of the preview.
The Eldar stuff has been all over LVO. Some gorgeous new models, really nice looking stuff.
Oh, the Avatar.
Malgan Ra. Oh, damn. My brother-in-law plays Eldar and Chaos, and he's looked at that, and he's like, I was talking to him yesterday. He said, that's the first model I've looked at in a long time that I just said, I cannot wait to paint that.
Yep.
So it's like, that's how they pull you back in, man.
Every time.
All right. So big changes here. Let's just run down the list real quick. Assassinate from Purge Enemy. No significant changes. Bring It Down. Bring It Down has changed mildly. So now you get 2 victory points for a vehicle that is 10 to 14 wounds. So this puts Rhinos and Raiders in the crosshairs. So once again, this kind of... I don't think that people kind of moved away from the Raider spam Drakari, but this would really put it back on the, this hurts them pretty bad. We're not really seeing that anymore. They've already moved away from it, so fair enough. One thing I do like here is No Prisoners has changed. So No Prisoners is a great crowd control tool. If you play against Necrons, you should take No Prisoners, because you kill them, they get back up. You're basically just farming points off them. I routinely score 100 plus model kills or / wound kills against Necrons. But now if you get 10 victory points from it, you get an additional +2. So if you kill 50 to 99 kill points, you score +1. If you score 10 or 100 or more, you get +2. So you can reliably score 12 victory points from the secondary by just murdering things.
That's always good.
Yeah,
murdering stuff's
like
good.
it. Like it. Big change. Grind them down. No real changes here. Score 3 points at the end of the battle round if you killed more enemy units than they killed of you. To the last hasn't really changed, which is, once again, we saw a lot of that from Dark Angels back in the day, when you could have your 3 Talon Masters, and if you just kind of finagle the points so that they're the highest point units.
I was actually looking at that earlier. I think there is a change in the fact that if you split your units and one of the sub units dies, like you combat squad it, then you only get 3 points instead of
Oh, that's
5.
true. Yeah, so if you take like a big, thick unit of Deathwing Knights or Deathwing
Yeah.
Terminators and you lose half of it from a combat squad, you score 3 instead of 2. That's fine. Like that you're correct. That is a change. All
And
right.
I just
The rest
caught
of
that
this
offhand the other earlier.
cool. All right, the rest of the stuff in No Mercy No Respite is all faction specific. Chaos Knights, Chaos Demons, Chaos Space Marines, Tyranids. Warpcraft, you're never going to take Warpcraft.
No.
I don't know why it's here.
It,
It doesn't make sense. The Warpcraft secondaries are better for the factions that take them. The only thing I could see doing here is if you spend 50 points to take an Inquisitor.
yeah.
But sure, you're not going to spend 135 points to have Ezekiel casting Psychic Ritual. That's stupid. Like I don't like it. But Psychic Interrogation is good if you have a cheap Psyker to do it with. So I could see
And thematic.
It is. But once again, that's a real expensive character
Yep.
to do that with. But it casts on a 4, which is super easy. So I would personally have said I would do this with an Inquisitor if I was really bent out of shape about it. Having a 50-point unit, 55-point unit that can cast 1 psychic power, and you don't need line of sight anymore. It just needs to be within 24 inches of a character. So
The one thing I could see this being a play is if Tau are going to be a thing, like just overwhelmingly a thing now they're getting a new book. They don't have any way of really stopping you from doing psychic unless there's some new relic or warlord trait in the book. So then you could just like be real cheeky and be like, yeah, I'm just going to do this and you can't really stop me. If they still got that silly cold star that moves a bunch and likes to jump on top of your stuff and shoot you, you just let it jump on top of you and then you hit it with this a couple times and while you're killing him. And but that's against one army, and it would have to be literally like half the field before I'd really consider it being an issue. Like I would even think about taking this.
Yeah. I mean that's a potential thing where for your Deathwing Terminators to do is they could screen a character from smart missiles while he's sat in the middle of the board and just psychic interrogated things. I said it's an option. I don't know if it's a optimal option, but it could give you a way to control Tau if they become an issue for you. When Chaos comes out, you're not going to want to take this. If you got a lot of Grey Knights and Thousand Suns, you're not going to want. Sure, they're just going to deny it every time you try and cast it, but it gives you another potential source of deny. So, whatever. Yeah. And Inquisitors can do other things for you. Like Inquisitors do give you a way to ignore Overwatch. They give you a way to reroll charges. They give you a 5-up invul save on a infantry or bike squad. So, which is good. So there is some utility there other than just one stupid secondary play, and they sit outside your force organization chart. So I said, it's not bad. Well, I don't know. We'll see. The fact that it's not line of sight anymore does make me mildly attracted to it. All right, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, you hide in the magic box and zap people with your mind. I just think it's hilarious because of the Dark Angels element. Like, there should have been a thing like this for Dark Angels, but chaplains did it. Like, your interrogator chaplain should be able to do this, and that would just make them amazing.
Yeah. Like,
but they
no,
can't,
I
and
agree.
I think it's ridiculous.
Well, all that stuff is moved into Crusade. So there is stuff you can do like that in Crusade where you get fallen points and investigation points against fallen. So okay, Shadow Ops. There is some stuff in Shadow Ops here that's changed a lot. So banners looks pretty much the same.
Did you used to be able to score points at the end of the game with banners in the previous edition?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know you could do that.
I'm pretty sure.
There'd be a change.
Pretty sure. Banners, you can do it with 1 or more infantry units. They can be characters. And it resolves okay.
The characters might be the change. I don't remember characters being able to do that.
I'm pretty sure you could. I will grab my other book and check real quick. I'm pretty confident that you could. So let's take a quick look.
It just shows you
one or more infantry units. Yeah, 1 or more infantry units. So characters could do it before.
Okay.
Okay. Investigate
That's
signal.
fair.
Uh,
That did
investigate.
change, yeah.
Yeah, investigate signal. This one changed because it had. Well, what did we talk about this last time? It doesn't fail if someone moves within 6 inches of you. So you can start it, provided. So the action completes at the end of your turn, providing a unit attempting it is still wholly within 6 inches of the center, and no enemy units are wholly within 6 inches of the center. So basically, it gives you can start the action, and it gives you the opportunity to kill somebody off the center of the battlefield. I'm still not super high on this. It's not. It's a little too risky for me. Because
but it might replace Oath of the Moment. Since you can't Oath of the Moment in Stubborn Defiance anymore, this might be the thing that replaces it.
That's
because
fair.
because you run some of these right. You run some of these shooty Terminator squads, and you have it go to the middle of the board, start the action, do the stratagem that lets you shoot into an action, tear up everything.
Okay.
Plus, if you're using some green wing units, and you get into you could act like fire discipline suddenly becomes a thing, because if you're you're there, you have a unit start it, you have a unit in combat that then can still shoot and then fight the thing they're in combat with.
Well, but that implies that. So if you're shooting them in combat, that implies that they they began the turn. So one, you wouldn't be able to to start the action while you're in combat because you can't do that.
You'd need a second.
Yeah.
You would need a second unit, but if you had a unit of green wing guys standing there helping you hold, like this would be the reason why you'd want to have some green wing guys standing there helping you hold it, is that if they did, you'd screen with them so they got charged. Like the Terminator unit starts the action, they're screened by some green wing guys. Green wing guys got charged the previous turn, survived. Then they would shoot, and then they would fight. You could get away with a lot. You wouldn't have to fall back, which wouldn't hurt your Oath of the Moment kind of thing as well.
Okay.
If you didn't take stubborn, I mean, I could see some play. But yeah, it's still kind of risky. But there are some things in the Dark Angels toolbox that are fairly unique that they could use to get themselves out of it.
Yeah, you're swaying me. You might be right. The question then, is it better than all the rest of the stuff in Shadow Ops?
Probably not. Probably not.
I don't know. Listen, if you want to do Green Wing, or listen, if you're pure Deathwing, it might be a good option. Because Nachmund data, if you're playing big blobs of Terminators, Nachmund data becomes viable because you say, hey, I've got 10 man in the squad. We're not going to fail the Nachmund data test. So Nachmund data is one infantry or biker unit starts to perform at the end of your movement phase, wholly within a table quarter, and more than 6 inches away from any other table quarter. They complete the action at the end of your turn, providing the unit attempting it still within the same table quarter. If the action completes, you roll a d6, subtracting 1 if they're a troops battlefield. So if the result is less than or equal to the number of models in your unit, you have retrieved the servo skull. If you retrieve 3 servo skulls, so 2 servo skulls, you get 4. 3 servo skulls, you get 8. 4 servo skulls, you get 12. So you need to get to the other, and you start this action at the end of your movement phase. So the question then is, if you take a Deathwing unit with a teleport homer, can you teleport in and begin this action? Because the reinforcement step happens at the end of your movement phase, right?
Yeah.
I think you can.
I think you can.
So you could theoretically teleport a Deathwing unit, a big fluffy Deathwing unit, start this action, right? Or you could do your 5 infiltrators and just not fail it at all. So this also works with bikers. So I think that 5 regular bikers are a great tool for this.
Yeah.
So a unit of 5 Ravenwing bikes, not just regular old bikes, those ones I'm halfway through building right here, are a good option for this because you can scout them forward with the hunts.
Yep.
Make basically a move block screen, do this action, and it completes at the end of your turn. And then you've got an 87% chance to get a servo skull from a turbo. No, you have to be 6 inches into the table quarter, which on some deployment zones.
Don't forget you get your plus 4 inches too.
+3 inches.
+3,
But
right? Yeah.
but you can't advance
Correct.
because you can't advance and do an action.
Correct.
So you basically just have to move forward and go, boop, hey, what's up? So you get a 12-inch move or a 14-inch move because the hunt begins before the game.
Yep.
So it's before the first battle round begins, right? So you're not in a doctrine yet. And then
Correct.
the first turn you would move 17 inches. So you potentially are moving, do the math for me.
29 inches.
20, no, it'd be 31. So you can move 31 inches.
Okay.
Which should get you on most deployment zones into more than 6 inches into any table quarter, and then line them up nose to tail. Basically, make a move block screen so that you're just stuffing up one movement lane. Get a thing, sacrifice a unit. So that's a 150 point unit, and I would definitely pay 150 point. Pay 2 CP to move them up, like block up a whole unit of advance for a bunch of orcs or a bunch of orc buggies or a bunch of sacrosanths or a bunch of talos to keep them from moving further than they would have. I don't know. I think that's something that's really viable because you can also do teleport homers with it.
Well, then you also have the fun thing of if they get charged by multiple units and they pick the wrong thing, then you either interrupt
and bounce out of combat.
Yep.
That's so expensive, but it could be worth it. It's 4 CP, right? So deploy.
It might be more because of it's a bigger squad because it's the.
Well, if you're only doing it with 5, then it's 2 CP.
It's still 2. Okay.
It's still 2, right? So 2 CP to interrupt, 2 CP to bounce. It's a big budget, but it could potentially result in another turn of move blocking. I don't know. You just got to make the call on this.
You bounce into another table quarter and do it again.
Bounce another table quarter, do it again next turn. So
yeah,
it could. This might also I was about to say scout bikes, but scout bikes don't have the Ravenwing keywords, so that wouldn't really be a great idea. But yeah, I don't know. I like Nachmund data. It's going to be good for Deathwing Terminators because they can just do it, right? You can shoot. You can still shoot your stuff. It's going to be good for bikers, but they weren't previously able to do it with Octarius data. So I think this is an improvement for us.
Unless we forget the Plasma Inceptors, 5 Plasma Inceptor squads.
5-man Plasma Inceptor squads absolutely will do this. They will drop in, retrieve data, shoot while doing an action, and annihilate things. So, yeah. Any more thoughts on Nachmund data?
No, I think it's a good change because it's going to make it less automatic, and if you want to do it right, you have to run troops in a way.
True.
Which we talked about last month with the infamous Tactical Squad and a drop pod.
Tactical Squad and a drop pod. Old school, man. I don't know. I think like 1 or 2 squads of infiltrators is a great because you have one unit that screens your backfield. One unit maybe that moves forward, and then you can always pull one of them into reserve, drop them back out the next turn, get Nachmund data, automatically pass it.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right.
That's good.
Teleport homers. Infantry or bikes, which is the same as it was before. If they are troops, it completes at the end of your turn. If they're not troops, it completes at the beginning of your next command phase. That's a big change, right? And that is not good for us because you were able to completing at the end of your turn was always great. So,
that's new. That's new though. That is. It used to be the end of your next command phase, which is why I was always doing like weird things with characters to try and do it. But now that you can actually run troops and do it at the end of your turn, I think you'll see a lot of play on that with factions that maybe not with Dark Angels so much, but again with infiltrator shenanigans and incursor shenanigans and whatnot. Phobos shenanigans in general, you might get away with some of it more, but you'll see this get play from, I think, some other factions that have sneaky troop choices, such as those beautiful new Eldar Rangers that are coming.
Yeah, and the Ranger scout jet bikes. Yeah, they really do seem to be incentivizing troops, which is good. Yeah. Hey, maybe I think that might make Green Wing make a resurgence.
It would be great because I have a lot of intercessors. A lot.
I have a lot of everything. So, yeah. Part of me wants to just say, you know what? I'm just going to run an old school firstborn army and see what happens. But I don't know. So yeah, that makes you want to take troops, which is good. So if you do it within 12 inches of their deployment zone, you get 2 CP. If it's within their deployment zone, you get 4 CP.
Yep.
And that's big. For something that scores 4 VP is big.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I believe it.
Oh, so this makes that kind of firewing. We'll see how this interacts on with that Vanguard spearhead. This could potentially be interesting with that, and we'll have to reevaluate that whenever that comes out. So,
yep.
That's it for Shadow Ops. Big changes in Shadow Ops. So,
yep.
Behind enemy lines, 2 VP at the end of your turn if one unit from your aircraft from your army excluding aircraft is wholly within the deployment zone. 4 VP at the end of your turn if 2 or more excluding aircraft are wholly within your opponent's deployment zone. So bikes can do this. It just depends on the army you're facing. Against Custodes, this is possibly a very good choice because Custodes are like, it would only be accurate to say they hit like a ton of bricks if said ton of bricks was falling from freaking orbit. Custodes they do a lot of damage. I've played a game with my Custodes against Necrons and just murdered stuff, but you can outmaneuver them pretty easily. With one exception, they have one trick that is going to be the unstoppable destroyer Alara's captain. But anyway, so I think behind enemy lines, engage are great options against them. That being said, Dark Angels play really well into Custodes, in my opinion, because just inner circle, right? You're negating all of their strength, right? The inner circle, pen and remembrance, all their stuff basically is strength 7, strength 7 damage 2, and it becomes wounding on 4s with 1 damage against a Deathwing Terminator squad. And they don't have any feel no pain unless it's against mortal wounds. So every time you hit them for 3 damage, they're going to take they're going to feel it. So
good. I like to hear that.
Yeah. So other than that, engage on all fronts did change. You need to have 3 or more models in the unit, unless it's a vehicle or a monster to pull off engage. So once again, Ravenwing real good at getting engage. Single vehicle model units can still do engage, which is good. Aircraft can still do engage. Just had to double check they didn't change that. So I really think that you're going to see some play shift from doubling down on Stubborn Defiance Oaths a moment to Stubborn Defiance, and I have to probably do one of these Shadow Ops, and maybe Investigate Signal is the thing that's going to happen. If you're like, look, I just want to play the same list. I bought all these Terminators. I just want to load, just lump myself in the middle of the board, and best of luck getting me out of it. Sure. You've kind of changed my mind on it a little bit. So, what do you?
With engage?
Well, I think I was always on engage. So my problem with engage is every time I think I'm going to get engaged, I end up getting stuck in and don't push far enough forward. So maybe that Gregor Helix list that we were talking about earlier in the show, that's absolutely going to take engage, right? You'll absolutely get engage, right? Especially with 2 aircraft. So
this is where I was commenting earlier about like with the command squads, where you're just going to have to maybe either they go away or they get used more as bodyguards, or you have to start running the extra guy to try and get some of this other stuff to run the way things have been used in the past, where like you drop the little 2-man squad in the back corner and they teleport Homer, or they knock Moondata, or they get engage, and they protect the little guy that then the chaplain deep strikes in behind them, right, and then gives himself bonus charge so he can charge over them. But if he fails the charge, he doesn't just get squished because he's out in the open by himself.
Yeah.
But having the vehicles, that also means some Green Wing stuff comes into play, because then the rhinos and the impulsors, which if they would just give impulsors fly, I know people didn't like it, but the silly thing floats. Like it should let it fly again. Free the impulsor, let it fly. It would be amazing.
Yeah. So they double nerfed the impulsor. They took its shield dome from a 4-up down to a 5-up and took away fly. I think either one of those, honestly, giving it the 5-up instead of the 4-up is probably good enough.
Yeah.
But especially now that fly doesn't let you like shoot when you fall back. So
Yeah.
oh
Which,
well.
so there's another nerf. But then also it's still an assault vehicle, so you can still spit guys out, which also helps with engage because you can zip them into a corner and spit guys out a little bit
Yeah.
further.
Yeah.
So I'd see that be a good play in there too.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, Dark Angels have a lot of work with impulsors. Like using impulsors and Hellblasters to develop your position, move around angles. We've talked about that tactic a lot, and I think I think it's still very valid. Yeah, if they could fly, so they could jump over terrain, it would be obviously better. But no sense wish listing. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah.
I'm sorry about. I lost my train of thought because I was looking at the points changes.
Oh yeah. We haven't talked about the points changes yet.
So that's what I was. I was just kind of like perusing there, and I just kind of got locked into it, and I was like, "Oh, he's asking me a question." I'm sorry. So
I'm glad you're
are we
reminding me.
gonna
We do need to talk about the point changes.
All right, so are we ready to do that, or do we got?
Yeah,
other
let's go.
ones?
I don't. That covers all the changes in the
Okay.
new secondaries. I don't want to wax eloquent about it because I haven't played the new secondaries yet because I just bought the book
Yeah.
yesterday. So maybe next weekend, maybe the weekend after that, I'll get a chance to play with it and we'll see how it goes. So
I got a couple tournaments. I got a Adepticon team tournament, and then I have a Highlander tournament.
so jelly that you're
in
going
February.
to Adepticon. So jelly that you're going to Adepticon.
We'll get you out here at some point.
I was in Vegas last weekend for the Tool concert, but I was not able to go to LVO. So that's fine. Maybe next year.
Well, there are the thing that's popping off in my eyes. Look at some of the points changes here to go with your Green Wing list that I think you would like, Heath, because I think you have some because I think I've seen them on your work desk. I see Centurion Devastators go down 15 points here.
Okay, so I have Centurion Assault. I don't have Centurion Devastators. I didn't build them as Devastators because they were so expensive. But I mean, maybe like okay, Centurions. I could like Centurions. I've played them before, and Centurions getting stuck in combat and using fire discipline to shoot is pretty gnarly. I think if you're really gonna make Centurions work, you would run them as an outer circle kind of thing with an alternate chapter, given the one that lets them reroll ones to hit with bolters because they don't have core. So if you run a bunch of Ravenwing Dark Talons, Ravenwing Dark Talons with like the reroll 1 hit or 1 wound and reroll bolter shots, Dark Talons become very scary because now all of a sudden they're rerolling hits and wounds with their rift cannons. And also, Dark Talons went down 15 points.
Yep.
So that makes them sub 200, which is good.
Finally.
Yeah.
And the Nephilim went down 15 as well to 175. So maybe we'll see a few more of those, although Dark Talon's pretty spicy.
Look, man, I'm shooting mortal wounds. Like, I got 3 Dark Talons. I want to I can't field all of them anymore, obviously, because the aircraft rules, because the freaking AdMech ruined it for everybody. But yeah,
I always blame Eldar.
That's fine.
Eldar.
That's fine. Black Knights also went down.
Yep, Black Knights went down, which hopefully they're just in that weird spot of they got a kind of a neat close combat weapon, but they're really there to shoot plasma.
I don't necessarily agree with you. I think that Black Knights, like you and I've had this conversation offline a number of times.
Yeah.
There's at 45 points, they were so expensive, and they're just like they don't get it done. Like, so if you take a big unit of them, 5. Like, I don't know if 5's the right number. I tried running 10 once, and yes, they hit a critical mass, but so they have 2 attacks base. +1 on the charge, that's 3 attacks. Maybe if you have a bike chaplain with them, pop the +1 attack relic for 4 attacks each. Throw a righteous repugnance on them to reroll all hits and wounds. they're going to get real choppy. But the thing is, they just get annihilated on the back end.
Yeah.
So the game's so killy right now that's just it's a 400-point unit to take 10 of them. But
I just realized something that you can do with them. So looking at the Adepticon team format, they use unique uh, detachments, and they're very restrictive, like way more restrictive than a patrol detachment.
okay.
Okay, and you're making 1,000 point lists with these things. You only get one detachment A, and then like basically you only get like one elite choice. Basically, you get one fast attack. Like it's very controlled. Uh, but the one of the I feel like is one of the less known rules with them, if you're in a very limited format like that, is that they have the same kind of command squad rules that Deathwing command squads have, which allow you to bring the ancient, the champion,
Yeah.
and the apothecary as outside your force organization chart.
Yeah.
So if you're playing in a more limited format like that, they actually have really good use because they allow you to spam things you wouldn't be able, bring extra things that you couldn't bring normally because of the limited format.
There's been some talk around the internet, and I haven't seen anything official yet, that maybe the alternative specialist attachments like the Vanguard and the Outrider or the Patrol are gonna change so that you aren't able to take 2 heavy support and 2 fast attack in a patrol detachment. In that case, that type of like, hey, take me and you can take all these other things outside your force org chart would become very powerful. So look, if you take 5-man Black Knight squad, give the sergeant a power sword, upgrade the power sword to the relic sword,
Heavenfall blade.
the Heavenfall blade, because it gets +1 attack. It's 2 flat damage. It's -4 AP.
Yep.
Now he's got like 5 attacks on the charge. It's killy. It's good. They've got 10 plasma shots. Their core, it's now that's going to be a 200-point unit. Okay, all right.
Yep.
They're not throwaway. It's not a throwaway cheap unit, but
No.
it's 10 plasma shots that you can move around the board. Like I've used that unit to some effect in the last tournament I played in, where I was able to, hunt them forward, move again, overcharge the plasma, just get an alpha strike off on orc buggies before the game, basically at the beginning of the game. And then they can sit there and they can, with a 4 up invulnerable save because they advance, they can take some return fire. Once again, the game is really killy right now, and a 4 up invulnerable with a 3 up armor save, T5 3 wounds. It's not they're gonna die. You just need to accept that, or play them. If you can have more strength than I do, sit them in your backfield and play them. play them as a like a late game kind of response unit. But once again, now that they can take Nachmund data, if you have 5 of them sit in your backfield, get Nachmund data, move them again, get Nachmund data. Turn 3, they jet out to do things. I don't know.
And that's something I've learned playing with bikes, is that they're not useful. I mean, you can do some crazy aggressive plays turn 1 and turn 2, but their true power is when they come in turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, if you can keep them alive that long. And apparently when last time they had an Adepticon, I was there, I was talking to a guy playing that's when the Eldar Shining Spears thing was like super big. And I've never forgotten the guy saying, normally I wouldn't move these guys till like turn 5, but we're having fun, so let's get the Shining Spears out here and get them out early. And I was thinking, so this crazy Eldar list has been destroying the world for months. They didn't actually use one of the most principal pieces until the very end of the game, and I've just always had that filed in the back of my head for using Dark Angel spikes in a similar fashion, where like if I'm going to use Outriders, if I'm going to use the Knights, if I'm going to use a bigger squad of bikers, what is their use?
If you can,
I gotta have to have that in the back of my head.
Think about it this way. Consider the relative value of the unit as the game progresses. Turn 3, turn 4, an intact, fast unit with good shooting and good combat, its relative value has increased significantly. The question is, can you afford to hold it until that point? That's always the question.
That's the problem.
If you're committing, if you're like, and the thing about Eldar is that they have the ability, so their units can be cheap and then punch way above their weight class because they can like all their value comes from getting buffed up with psychic powers.
Yeah.
So they'll just okay, this turn my Farseer is throwing all these buffs on this guy, my Warlock's throwing these buffs on this guy, and then so they're getting all the extra stuff invested in them, and then they can okay, turn 4, I'm gonna throw it all into my spears, quicken them forward, and then hit where they need to hit. And that was the real value, was that you couldn't get away from them because they would move like 18 inches, quicken, move again, and then guided, with all the stuff they were gonna hit like a train.
Yeah.
So
and then you got jinxed, so you had -1 to all your save rolls, regardless of what save it was, and they just picked up everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I played the Doomseer list back in the day with my Dark Eldar, and I got pretty good at it. But I want to think that the Dark Angels have the opportunity to do something like that. I don't know. Awesome. That's one of the things I'm willing to commit to is I'll try. I'm gonna try and run Ravenwing with this new point reduction. I'm gonna try. We'll see how it goes.
Sword on the Outrider Sergeant.
Oh yeah.
He has all those attacks at two damage.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Could you imagine if you give him a Teeth of Terra?
Oh, it'd be. Is he cool enough to get the strat that lets you give the relic to?
Well, he is, because he's a sergeant, and you can mark any sergeant for command. The question is, does the Teeth of Terra fall into, because you can't give him a relic, it has to be special issue war gear. Is the Teeth of Terra special issue war gear?
No, it's not.
It's not.
No, I'll be right back. You could try and you could try and mastercraft the. He's got a chain sword. You can mastercraft that and go to 2 damage, right?
Yeah, you can mastercraft the chain sword, but is the Teeth of Terra special issue war gear?
It's not. I know for a fact it's not.
Anyway.
I got all excited. Yeah, it's a relic.
Okay.
And so is the Burning Blade, so you can't give him that either. Dang.
Yeah, that'd be good. But hey, a mastercrafted chainsword. It's not like look that unit puts out like 19 freaking attacks, right? And you can, I've hit Outriders with Righteous Repugnance, so they reroll all hits and wounds. And it's like, all right, go do your Thug Thizzle, and they get some work done. That's a lot of dice.
I'm sad to see they did not get any sort of points changes at all, because I have some and they're hard to kind of hide because they have the big bases. Mine are really cool because I customized them, but 50 points a model's pretty rough when you can run 5 normal bikes.
It's
and
steep,
they do basically the same thing.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember they're balancing them across all the factions. So cheaper Outriders would make White Scars and Deathwatch. Deathwatch Outriders. You can have 5 of them in the OBSEC because they go into a troop choice. It's Anyway,
why can't we do that? So annoying.
So that's how the Ravenwing used to be. Was like if you took Samael, then all your bikes became troops, right? If you took Belial, all your Deathwing became troops. And I honestly think that the way they've made, kind of specialize them nowadays is honestly better. But I mean, obviously, the troop battlefield role slot is incentivized in this season because we have seasons now of the game. But once again, no reason to wish list. But okay, so
I did get one thing I wanted: the Gladiator variants. All
are cheaper
points.
So did the Storm Speeders.
Yes, I got another one of those. So those 2 things getting points reductions. Very excited because I love my Gladiator Valiant. When you can drop 4 Melta shots and 4 las cannon shots out of 1 tank every turn. I mean, again, it doesn't have an invuln, but who really cares when the tower just going to take away your invuln anyway? But this thing is back when we had the plus 6 inches, and you could actually have 30-inch range then instead of 24. It was a little bit scarier. But even then, still, a 24-inch range is a medium range assault vehicle. You roll one of these things into most vehicles, it packs a punch. It's just you got to get it there, and that's always the problem. But with the cheaper points, I might get mine out and play with it a little bit more because I had fun building it, customizing it, painting it, and get pulling out the dice and rolling all the damage, and you're like, yeah, okay, so I get 2 melta shots worth of damage, and then 2 last cannons, so that's 4d6 damage going into your tank, and just the color draining out of people's faces when that happens is pretty glorious.
All right, let me point something out here.
Okay.
So the Gladiator is toughness 8, which is a
Yep.
big deal because that means
Yes.
that the hammerhead railgun is going to wound it on 3s instead of 2s, right? And that
Yep.
thing's only 1 shot, right? And it's 12 wounds, which means he would have to roll a 6 on the 6 plus D3, and you
Yep.
could always Armor of Contempt so that you get a feel no pain against those 3 mortal wounds. So odds are you've got a better than even chance if you want to invest a little bit in making the Gladiator survive a railgun hit.
Yeah.
And then remember, he gets +1 to hit because
Yep.
he's going to
Which
stand
is
still.
beautiful.
At the absolute worst, it's going to hit on 4s, right? And then if you have a Tech Marine with it, and if you're running a heavy armor list,
Yep.
you're going to run a Master of the Forge. So you could even potentially
heal it,
you
and you give it
could
+1
heal
hit.
it, give +1 to hit. Obviously, you can't be +2 to hit, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm not saying you can't. So
and I'm telling you, it's fun. So if you have one at home, it's fun.
I've got one in a box right there. But so
Oh, it's fun.
I'll get
It's fun.
there. Also, it has smoke screens, so it has auto launchers, so it can give itself -1 to hit. So
True enemy of the Tau, the -1 to hit.
the -1 to hit. Look, hey,
Which is why I'm waiting on my Dark Shroud.
Storm speeders are interesting. One of them has a 2 up to hit, the Thunder Strike. Right? That's the one with the last talon and the rocket pods. That's normally 9 power level. Because I don't know what the freaking points are off the top of my head. But it's now 10 less. It's expensive. It's going to end up being like 170 points. But it hits on 2s. And those missiles hit hard. Those rocket pods hit pretty good. The Thunder Strike, look, I prefer the Thunder Strike, the Hammer Strike.
Me too.
Because it has a 2-shot damage 3 missile launcher, right? And it has that melted destroyer gun.
Yeah, that melted destroyer gun is peak.
It is
so good.
This thing is terrifying. I played against an Iron Hands player that ran a couple of these things, and Iron Hands, because they reroll the ones to hit. Look, you can get a Talon Master, or you can get a Land Speeder or Storm Speeder within 12 inches of your target. 2 CP, all your Dark Angels are going to get +1 to hit it. Even they don't have to have core. It's going to do a lot of work. So they're expensive. They're a little less expensive. I think they probably could have sustained another 10-point drop and still been and then they would have really been viable. I don't think 10 was enough, but we'll take it.
I'm going to give it a shot. It lost some points. Okay. It's that, you know what I mean? We're in this sort of like flux period where nobody really knows anything yet, and I always like to pull out things I don't play with, but I enjoy the look of them and give them another go just to see until I put them away again for 6 more months.
Okay. All right. On the downside, our Contemptor Volkite has gone up by 10 points. I don't think that this wasn't inspired by the Dark Angels, even though on the Warcom article, it is a Dark Angels Forge World Contemptor. It was Ultramarines that were the reason, and Thousand Sons that were the reason for this, because they had ways to reroll all wounds on these vehicles and chase those mortals. But Dark Angel Contemptors are good because they're core, and Azrael could give them rerolls to hit, and they could fit into a Deathwing detachment. But that's really about it. Also, the Primaris Chaplain went up by 10 points on the bike. Chaplain on bike went up by 10 points. Okay. I wasn't super
cool.
I wasn't super high on him. You're going to want an Interrogator Chaplain with a jump pack. Now, especially that he's cheaper than the Chaplain on the bike. So
and I think that may be one of those plays where, because we actually have that secondary class of Chaplain, right? Because not everybody has. We're the only ones that have the Interrogator class. His output competes with some of the, because I think he has almost as many attacks as a Primaris Chaplain at that. As a Firstborn.
If you give him the Teeth of Terra, he has more. Absolutely more. The Interrogator Chaplain on the bike's only got like 5 attacks on the charge. Maybe
and
6.
And I think an Interrogator Chaplain, which is a firstborn on the charge, has 5 too before you upgrade him at all. And I think that's where, for me, picking a Primaris Chaplain on bike just didn't seem right when I could just run an Interrogator Chaplain with the jump pack. Because also, if he goes on the bike, he loses Inner Circle. So
Yeah.
there is very little motivation to run him on a bike for me in the Dark Angels. I did see someone run him, and I saw him in a lot of Blood Angels lists, which makes sense to me. I could see that, but
Yeah,
for
with
Dark
+1 to
Angels
wound on the
players,
charge, he
just not a
makes a lot
thing.
of sense. Um, I mean, look, if you're going to run a bunch of bikes, you could potentially make an argument for, because he has the Ravenwing
Yeah.
keyword, you could give him the that automatic the +1 attack relic. Maybe there's something there with a bunch of Outriders and Black Knights. But
He gets the movement bonus. He doesn't need any of the invul bonuses because he already has a better invul just inherently. He can fall back after he fights if he's Raven Wing. He can hunt. I don't know why
yeah,
you'd hunt him by himself though,
no,
unless you
no,
really wanted to missile torpedo something.
yeah, like I said, he's got 4 attacks, 5 on the charge. I'm not, and he has no warrior options. He just has that.
Yeah.
He has the Crozius. So
I mean, you
look,
could give him the reliquary of the repentant just to be like he's gonna go find something to fight, and then be like your invuln is now this, and now I punch you. But
but
I
the
don't know.
Ravenwing Champion's a better option for that.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, I look. There's a place for him.
Yeah.
I'll give it another shot at some point, but
I need to finish painting mine. I've
yeah,
spent a lot of time trying to get the pieces to do one, and I need to finish painting him because he looks really cool. Because I took the Judicar head and put him on there, so he's got the biker bandana
that's
over
cool.
his face. So that's fun.
I think I put a Dark Angel's head on the Crozius, and I replaced
Nice.
his standard book with a Dark Angel's book.
Yeah, I do that too.
And I put some Ravenwing iconography on the side. But yeah,
Nice.
okay. Should we move on? Let's move on to
All right.
the challenge and the community interaction.
All right, so for the monthly challenge, we did not have one last month because Heath was traveling to the mainland. He got to experience some real Christmas, some real cold weather
It did not
for
snow.
once.
It did not snow.
Oh, it
It
didn't
snowed a
snow in
little
Indiana
bit,
either.
but it
Just
did not
enough.
snow that much. Yeah.
But did you get any new minis for Christmas?
No, I did not. I have plenty.
Ooh.
Well, I got
Well, I know
this.
somebody that got new minis for Christmas.
I got one of
Care
these.
package came in.
So
Yeah, nice.
my
So
friends got me a dice tray, a Dark Angel's
nice.
dice tray, which is cool.
I got some dreadnoughts just in time for the points increases from Heath. Thank you, Heath. I also got some Dark Angels swag from Heath, which is pretty sweet. The measuring tape. So thank you, Heath, for all of that. That was very nice. I already ate all the chocolates, so they're gone. I still have
Yeah.
a couple pots of coffee. He sent me some cool Hawaii coffee as well. Oh, and I'm gonna definitely use these at the tournament next month. The other realms, and the shirt fits. I put the shirt on the other day. I think it's in the laundry right now, or else I
Got you
get it out.
some local swag.
So, because I was gonna suggest maybe New Year, new mini, but you didn't get new minis, but you did get that thing. So yeah, so for now in the next month, you got to take your dice box and just snap it together. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's cool because it folds flat, so it goes into a backpack
Yeah.
real easily, and then it snaps to
Yeah.
be a tray. So
Yeah, those are cool. I remember when those. I remember seeing those at Adepticon the last time I went in 2019, and like that was all the rage. Like that was the new
yeah.
thing everybody wanted. So yeah, my idea was to do a New Year, new mini. The other thought I had was to do some spring cleaning or like a New Year, some play on New Year, but not out with the old. Where like I have a couple, like for example, my chaplain is like half painted. I have a Judicar that's half painted.
I will
I have a lot of
say
things like that.
I need that because I've got a bunch of stuff on my desk, and I need to clean the mechanism a little bit. But just so if there's
Let's do
any.
that.
So how about this? Let's say if you have any half-finished projects you're working on, you should finish them. Okay,
Yep.
we should restrain that because I have a lot of half-finished projects.
Pick a half finished. Take half your half finished projects and do half of. Pick
Yeah.
one. Just pick
Yeah.
one. Pick
So,
one
okay,
half
I've got
finished
it.
project.
I can do that.
Nice.
I'll take a half-finished project and commit to finishing it. So it'll probably be an attack bike squad or two.
Ooh, yes.
So
Yes. Very good. I like that. All right, so moving on to community interaction. We did get a note from Scott. Where did it go? I had it. Oh, Scott Straub asked us. Since you guys have begun playing a little more, any chance you might do a vlog of any of your games? That is I'm hoping to do that for my tournaments. That's what Dankless Wargaming originally was built to do. Was to go to tournaments, do vlogs of some of the games, not like super intense turn by turn, but like some stuff going on in the background, and then some interviews post game with whoever my opponent was, just so people get the idea that like when you go to a tournament, they're people. They're nice people. All right, the wax, the weird people that everyone associates with competitive 40K are not the majority of the people you go to a tournament and play games with. They're actually fun and friendly people, and you should go and enjoy the celebration that tournaments are, because it's not, especially with Adepticon, which we have a video of that I did back in 2019. A lot of their scoring, there's a lot of soft score at Adepticon, especially in their
mm,
team events. For the Long War Doubles, the Adepticon team event, like you have to have theme across your army. You have to have, like, and it's not just theme like they want to see the basing match the battle board across all four armies or both armies. They want, they want the players on the team to have shirts or dice or something. They want to see some cool theme stuff, and that all builds into your overall ranking. I mean, playing matters, but and I think for the team event, it's like 60% of the rubric, or it was at least for the last Adepticon. But 40% of the score was having your models painted pretty cool, and then having a reason for why they're all together. And that's what's kind of killing my team right now, because people want to play Tau, people want to play the new Eldar book, and I'm like, guys, all I have are Dark Angels, and the other guy was going to play GSC, but he can't get the models in time. So I'm like, all right, I need another Imperial player on this team to try and make this all mesh, because if you play like your World Eaters, Chaos Marines, because you like them, how am I supposed to write a narrative for our team that includes World Eaters, Dark
well,
Angels, Eldar,
well,
and Tau?
you could just say that your Dark Angels are fallen.
I didn't want to have to go there because I wouldn't hear the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, just
I
just
didn't.
take it and lean into it. Just lean into it.
But
That
then I
still doesn't
remembered that.
explain Eldar, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm leaning into the old Medusa 5 campaign. I was looking at that the other
Okay.
day, and try and maybe do like some shenanigans there to try and explain that all four factions are committing to stopping a chaos sorcerer from making a backdoor into the webway. Like the Tau have the tech to find it.
Okay.
The Eldar have the expertise to understand what the Tau have found, like to interpret the information they have. And then the Dark Angels are like, fall, Chaos Marines doing funny things must be fallen. So like my army's themed with it's all Ravenwing, all Deathwing,
Hmm.
more Ravenwing than Deathwing with their so that way that the bikes go out, they find them, they call in the boys drop in, and then it's like their guard. Why? Because the Dark Angels need some help.
Yeah.
We need somebody to shoot if there aren't any fallen to shoot.
Yeah. It's
uh,
okay.
all right. Oh, but with the final part is we're finally going to do the fan giveaway like we promised. We delayed it a month. We're here. So basically, the idea is that we were going to give away either I have some outriders, so I can give out an outrider that you can use to customize. So like if you wanted to make a custom chaplain on bike, even though he costs 10 more points now, you could do that. That's what I bought like a set of outriders to do that myself. And if somebody else wants to try that, not invest the $40 into buying the whole squad, I was gonna hit you up for free with one. You could also do the Primaris captain, even though technically the Primaris captain on bike isn't a thing. I know a lot of people like to upgrade, like the
You could just
Primaris Ezreal and stuff like that.
call him a firstborn captain with a
Right.
super badass bike.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That kind of stuff. I also the option was going to be I have the Gravis captain, the one that's already out, and I had a hooded head, which are kind of hard to find. And I was gonna throw like the head and some Dark Angels bits in a bag, and then slap the sprue with the Primaris Gravis armor guy from what box did I get him in? It's the one from the Kill Team box with Necrons, whatever
Oh
box
yeah.
that was.
Kill team.
And
Yeah. The one with the that came with the heavy intercessors.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I know what
and
you're talking about.
and
Yeah.
so I've got my Dark Imperium die. Good luck here. I've got some people that have commented in the last 2 months on our videos. That was sort of the requirement that we had. I'm gonna roll a die. I'm gonna tell you who you are. I'm gonna ask you to go into the. If you win, if you're the winner, go into the show notes. We have the Dankless Wargaming email in there. Contact me through that. Keep it secure, keep it safe. I'll be looking for it. I'll be checking for it, and I will get the information. Be safe with it, and I'll get one of those things out to you. All right. So we ready for this, Heath?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. And the winner is Scott. So Scott Staub, you have been a long time listener, watcher, all that, commenter. It's been great, loving you, and you are a just deserver of this reward. So please get hold of me about what you would prefer. All right, and I'll get that out to you. Okay.
All right. Congratulations. Yeah, I think he's
All right.
commented on nearly every one of our YouTube videos for the last several months. So that's that's well deserved.
I'm loving it. So, thank you all for listening to this month's episode of The Path to Redemption, the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast. Our next episode will film in February, and based on sort of how we release things, that means it'll probably come out in March. So, please subscribe, like, and comment below if you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on your preferred podcasting service. And last but not least, we'd like to thank Purple Planet for the use of their music. And until next time, I'm Bailey from Dankless Wargaming.
Is Heath with Table War Hawaii?
Stay loyal, Angels.